That's a pretty little cake, isn't it? Well, it was the first time I used that mold, but it's a great recipe. Last week, I posted pound cake recipe. It was the original pound cake. That's somewhat dense, even though it's very soft and has a neat texture when you're eating it. It is a little denser and heavier than modern cakes, and that's just because of modern leavening and the way we do things with modern equipment. So, I'm going to be doing another pound cake recipe. Now, this is my personal pound cake recipe. This is a recipe that was taught to me by my mother, and I believe that she got it from her mother, so it was sort of a family thing. And we have been using this recipe for a very long time. This is a chocolate pound cake recipe. It's flat delicious, and when you try it, you'll see what I mean. The chocolate is not overwhelming. It's not the kind where you're like, oh man, that's a deep chocolate, that's too strong. It won't be that way at all. It's the exact opposite. This chocolate pound cake has a light, gentle chocolate flavor that, well, it just makes you want to take another bite. And the moisture in the cake is absolutely perfect. It's very soft, very tender, and it's a beautiful pound cake when you get right down to it. So folks, I'm going to show you how we make pound cakes in my family. This is our recipe, and it's delicious. Let's get in the kitchen. Before we go though, let me remind you to please take a look at the links down in the description box. There's some information there for you. You'll be directed to my channel, and that's just where you can find stuff to purchase like this. That's my cap. There's recipes there, so if you want the written version of this recipe, link is right there for it. I have a channel that's got a lot of recipes here, so please take a look at the rest of my channel also. Some really good stuff. Today it's pound cake. Let me show you how we do it. Come on. This recipe, simple enough. The ingredients pretty basic to most cakes, so let's go over them. I've got butter, I've got cocoa to flavor this, along with some vanilla. Got some flour back here, of course. Sugar. This is just a plain cane sugar. I have some baking powder and salt. Also eggs and milk. And with this, we're gonna get it all whipped up in a mixer and turn it into a delicious cake. I'll be using a bundt pan for mine. I'm getting ready to put my cake together. Part of the assembly of this cake involves sifting the dry ingredients together, not including the sugar, but all of the rest of the dry ingredients. There's a couple of ways. You can use a sifter, of course, if you own one, but if you don't, I wanted to mention a lot of people have a strainer and they make a perfect sifter. Put your dry ingredients in here and tap the handle and it sifts the flour just fine. Okay, you got a sifter. And when it comes to the cake pans, it doesn't matter what shape. Just find one you like and make a cake. Just get that butter down into this bowl. Now you need to make sure your butter is softened. It needs to be about room temperature. If it's room temperature, this creaming process will go quickly. If it's cold, it won't happen at all. We're getting ready to make our cake. I needed to mention before we do all of this, go ahead, set your oven for 325 degrees so it's preheated, because you don't want to be waiting around after your cake is made to go ahead and get it in the oven. The next thing is make sure your butter is preheated to room temperature. Have all of your ingredients pre-measured. You don't want to be messing with stuff while you're creaming your butter. You want it all ready to go. So that's what we've done here. Everything is ready. My flour and all of the other ingredients are pre-measured together. All we have to do is make this cake. Just beautiful. Go ahead and cream together your butter and your sugar. This cake starts this way. Once you're finished creaming those together, work the other ingredients in there, alternating between them, one from the other. Now, when you start your cake making process, go ahead, set your oven at 325. And if your pan is not a non-stick pan, go ahead and give it a coat. You'll need to grease and flour that pan. So that's all you need to do there. Make sure though that you cream that butter first so you get it nice and fluffy like we've done here before you move on to the rest of the cake. This is something of a necessary part of the process. Don't forget, occasionally you have to turn it off, remove what's built up around the sides of the bowl so that everything will mix evenly, okay? So make sure you do that. Now folks, remember, at every stage in making this cake, remember to scrape the bowl. See all that dry ingredient up on the top there? Go ahead and get all of that mixed in. This has been running for 5 minutes. Now I've got this batter that looks just smooth and perfect. Right now the batter itself looks like a mousse. All right, if you've ever made a French mousse, that's what this batter looks like at the moment. It is just that smooth. All right, now that's what we're kind of looking for, and I'm wanting to do that one more time. Okay, so I want to beat it just a little bit more, and then our batter is going to be hitting the oven. Isn't that beautiful? And yes, I have a tendency to be overly clean in the kitchen. I just don't like a messy situation. There it is, folks. That cake batter, beautiful, smooth, satiny batter is ready to go. What I'm doing now is just simply leveling the batter, okay, so it gives a nice even bake. I don't want the cake to come out wonky and unlevel, all right, so I want to get it as even as possible. There we go. Time to get this down in the oven. There we go. The quantity of everything that we have used today is 3 cups of flour, 3 cups of sugar, 4 eggs, 1 1/4 cup of milk, 3 sticks of butter, that's 3/4 of a pound, 4 tablespoons of cocoa, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/2 of a teaspoon of baking powder. This is double acting baking powder. 1 tablespoon of vanilla, and that equals 1 delicious cake. Let's take a look at this gorgeous cake. Removing my cake from the oven. It has been 1 hour. This cake has been in the oven for about 1 hour. Now it has domed up beautifully. It's semi-firm on top. I'm going to plunge a toothpick right down into the top here, straight into the middle, and pull it back out. Now my toothpick came out clean, no batter on it at all. Okay, so it's not wet. That means this is fully cooked. But what I have to do now is to cool it. As it cools, it's going to pull in a little bit, all right, and that's normal. Let it do that. And then we're going to work on removing it from the pan. Do not try to remove it from the pan when it's hot, folks. Don't try to have hot cake or anything like that. If you're going to do cake that's hot, you need to do small ones that are individual in small dishes, and you serve it in the dish itself. But other than that, cake needs to cool before it is removed from its pan, and that's quite important. There we go. Patience. Patience. This has been cooling for a couple of hours. When it's finished cooling, take your cake, invert a plate onto it and then flip both of them over together so that you can turn your cake out onto the right surface. Now make sure that's the surface you want to leave it on, okay? I've been enjoying my chocolate pound cake. Not sure what I think about that pan, so the jury is still out on that. However, I'll say this. It produces a lot of crispy, crusty edges, and I like that. It's one of my favorite things on the cake is when you get the corner or that crispy edge, and this is a pan that just delivers it. So, enjoy finding the right pan for you. I'm sure you will. Enjoy this recipe. It's absolutely delicious. And folks, please take a look at my channel. Texas Cooking Today's got a lot of recipes on there. At the time of this video, somewhere around 554, I think. Quite a few. So please, take a look around there. Look in the description below. You're going to get the recipe for this. That's the PDF version. That'll be on my website. Also, the links to my website are right down there, as well as to my other channel, Chef Trotters Tips. Folks, thank you for watching, and please have a good day and enjoy your cake. Bye-bye. Oh, yeah.